guys, it's Chris and welcome to another episode of Sample Market Producer Tips and Tricks. Today we're gonna have a look on how to create a dub chord from scratch. Talking about the kind of chord that you will hear in the basic channel, chain reaction, Maurice von Oswald movement that originated in Berlin. Yeah, let's dive into it. For this particular tutorial, for the drum section, I've used one shot that are coming from two of my libraries that I released via Sample Market. So you can find them both in the site or on my link in bio. And they are the Abstracts one shot, which was recently released, and the Minimal one shot, which I've already used in other tutorials. So this is going to be our starting point for today. Regarding the dub chord itself, I want to use the wavetable, which is something that is built in Ableton. If you're not using Ableton, you can find plenty of wavetable kind of synths, even free ones online. So this is achievable in any kind of DAW and with any kind of plugin that you would like to use. So for the kind of dub chord that we're gonna look for today, the dub chord itself is using mostly a saw wave, and usually we gonna look for a kind of minor chord. So I'm gonna start with a C minor chord, even though this is very high in terms of octave, so maybe I'm gonna push it down a bit. Let's work in D minor. So if I already have a saw wave and I use a bit low pass filter, we already are in that kind of context of Dub Techno chord, right? Now what I think is key to move forward and what I look into is a bit of programming through the metrics of the wavetable and a bit of processing in order to give context, room, and process the sound in order to achieve that classic dub chord. Let's add some room here, as I did with the drums, which is crucial. You can feel it's very different from this. And yeah, so first of all, let's add a second oscillator. I will detune a bit the second oscillator to emulate that kind of analog feeling, if you wish to call it so. As you know, in the analog synthesizers, it's very hard that two oscillators are completely in tune all the time, especially for the old ones. And for the second waveform, I can look into a handful of waveform from the wavetable that I have here. There is the retro one that has some nice saw waveforms that I was talking about with you before. Basically, the dub chord as we know it is a saw wave. Let's isolate just this oscillator so we can hear what he is doing. We can also have a look into the noise maybe. Can add quite some original harmonies into this. Yeah, I think you agree with me. We can also dive into this afterwards. Let's see also the vintage, what we have. I saw straight away. Nice. So first of all, let's open the metrics. First things I want to do is assign a bit of envelope to the filter, so we have a bit of movement. Let's have a bit more of note length. And also I want to open a second filter in parallel, which could be a high pass or a band pass. And actually I'm gonna use a bit of distortion in these ones, because I believe the classic filter that were used during these times generated a bit of harmonic distortion. So let's try to go for it and achieve that kind of sound here in Ableton. Okay. Oh, sorry. Frequency. What I can do is open an LFO. I can map it to the frequency itself, so it can also have a bit of movement on top of the envelope. You can use the one in the matrix, but I like to use external ones to have a bit more control, if that makes sense. Maybe it's just a personal preference. What I usually would do is this. Let's see if maybe one can go an octave lower. Let's also try the noise thing. To be honest, this is very interesting. I want to try this. May get a bit experimental in a way, but why not giving this a try? A bit too much. I need a slower LFO. But also for this one, maybe yeah. Let's use this one, very low, no retrigger, and assign it to the oscillator position. Was the LFO one, right? Yeah. Okay, so now in terms of processing, the first thing that I want to go with is an echo. So, and also what is going to be essential is a good filter. The Ableton one is okay in my opinion. We can try with that, but also I may use a bit of external plugins for that, but I'm going to try to stick with Ableton plugins. So let's see an echo. What I would do is use a triplet, as this is very common in the kind of basic channel brackets that I'm a great fan of. Always distortion. This is a distortion option. Here on the left, this applies the input gain to the dry signal as well, allowing to distort it for an authentic hardware feel. So what I will do is a bit of distortion, and I'm gonna increase the input volume to emulate what I will do in hardware. Cool. So I would work with this. Maybe let me hear what I can do actually. We can work triplet, notes themselves, okay. Let's work with triplets. Here we are. Maybe the input is too much. So what I can do is either have other reverb from the delay, from the echo, and also a reverb on top of it. I'm gonna do both, I think. So because we are now working with the delay, one thing that is crucial with this kind of sound is, as far as my opinion, is filtering, delay, echo, and reverb. This is the three things that we're gonna work with. Let's try the ping pong maybe. doesn't get more dub than this. Let's create a chain. I want a dry signal. I want a first echo. Echo 1 chord triplet, and then maybe I'm gonna have one that is in dot. Let's see how the two would interact together. I'm doing this because back in the days there were a lot of multi-delay, and yeah, I think this could be a good way to go. What I would do is use also the stereo, which is something that in the multi-delay we have, and also mixers. And yeah, so I'm gonna put this a bit on the left, this on the right, and work basically with the gains. So if I group this again, sorry, I don't need to group this again, but if I open the macros, I can choose to map this to knob 1, map this to knob 2, and this, which is the drag signal, map it to macro 3. So we have dry signal, delay 2, and echo 1. Let's name it echo. Let's stick to the... Really nice. Gotta love this. So let's think what we can do. I added here before a reverb, which is a convolution reverb is a preset that I found, which is a starter dub. I'm gonna show you what it does. So if I add this, sorry, this is what the reverb is doing. Like what I usually use a lot is this vintage function, which adds a bit of distortion. Let's see if I can achieve that kind of sound that I'm looking for. These are kind of like, maybe Extreme 2 you can go, but I'm not too sure. So what we can do as well is have an LFO that is modulating the first frequency, and also actually what we can do, let me think, also there's this unison function that has the noise itself, which may be interesting. This needs a bit of EQing for sure, but so let's work a bit with the noise function. I don't want it full amount, I want it very subtle and slow in the process. Then I may want actually to modulate the time. This is something that I can, let's group everything, map this to macro 1, echo 1, okay, it shows there, perfect. Map this to macro 2, dry signal, and the time. And what is key now is modulating all these parameters and all these functions that we can play with in the arrangement view. And during this process, obviously, is key having a specific audio result in mind or a specific reference. For example, the first thing that comes to my mind, you can either just assign an LFO whenever random, kind of continue evolution of the sounds. Or either you can also, I don't know, just have the two echoes opening up throughout the arrangement. Let's do this as quick as possible in the arrangement view. This is echo 1, this is echo 2, we have the dry signal, and we have the time. So let's leave the time as it is. We have echo starting halfway. We can actually have one starting a bit more then coming back. Let's do this in a short time fraction because I don't want this to be very long tutorial. I need to obviously import a MIDI note to work. First of all, before we keep going, one, EQ. The mid lows are too much. Definitely we need some EQ there. I also usually don't like to have that much stereo information. That's up to you guys, how much you want to have it. But yeah, this is what I would do. Let's see. So another thing that is very important, as we were saying, is filtering, and also layering could be something interesting, because here we are using the functions that we have inside the channel that we've created, but also we can have another code that is answering to this one. You know, that would be really interesting. See what we can do. First, I want to experiment with some kind of filtering. I'm trying to think about how I can do this in Ableton. If I need to link to any external plugin that I think does a nice job, I mean, I would usually think about a kind of Moog filter to work with. Yeah, let's see how this can help us. Maybe I can put it before all the echo processing. Let's see what it does. There you go. Lovely. So what comes to mind is that we can have one with a filter, one that is completely dry. The dry one is obviously more sparse in the arrangement, not as frequent. So maybe I can have the length of 4. I go here and maybe I have it at this point in time. Let's see how this will be. Let's add a compressor, a bit of sidechain from the drum rack. I'm gonna use the filter type to only filter the lower frequency as an input that is gonna trigger the sidechain. also, actually, what we can have here is another delay return to work on top of this. I know it's a lot of processing, but also what I would do is have another sidechain here, maybe, to have a control over the of what is happening. I mean, when you kind of push things into the analog distortion, it kind of sidechains itself in a very nice way. I mean, well, at least that's what I feel like. It's sounding pleasant to me. That is something that sometimes I kind of try to achieve, is that subtle distortion that also automatically gives a bit of subtle sidechaining feel. So we were saying maybe we can have a go mid is a preset of a filter delay, is like a multi-filter in Ableton, nothing special. And yeah, this is the same, you know, you have the left, the right, and both signal, and you can work with each parameter. And yeah, basically it's the same that we were doing in this instance. A big feedback. If the noise is bothering you, you can also automate that in Ableton. Is in the echo page. You just go in the echo pages, and this is the noise basically. This is the amount, and you're gonna repeat the process through all the echoes that you have in the project. I can also use the. And also now at this point, now that you have achieved the timbre that you like, I think it's a matter of getting into the artistic direction, the creative direction, because there's a many way of using audio effects, many ways of which effects to choose. For example, in the filter delay, we can use some kind of distortion that isolates the mid. Let's see, we have it. We have erosion, overdrive, mid distorts. Let's see the mid distorts function. What can it do? Let me solo this channel. A bit too much, but you know, subtly is something that could give that bit kind of analog feel. I know that saying analog feel may trigger some people, but that's what everyone is looking for, so that's why I keep mentioning it. Even though I believe this just Ableton itself is, look how powerful it is. So another thing that you can work with is a bit of noise in the background that evolves, and you can work with some other parameters. There is the erosion and a lot of other effects. At this point, I believe is more about what direction and what you want to achieve. And yeah, let's have another listen to what we have done, and I think we're good for today. Then obviously you can also work a bit with the drums in case you want to add some kind of subs, and you can use a clipper to emulate a bit the overdrive distortion in analog. But yeah, I think that's it for today, guys, and maybe I'm gonna do a track from scratch course about this direction if you feel like. Let me know in the comment. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I really look forward to seeing you into the next one. Cheers.